And yeah, so I'll start with myself. My name, as you already know, is Chikanzekwe. My 9 to 5 is I work as a content marketing manager for a fintech here in Lagos, Nigeria that deals with payments, loans, and business tools. On the side, I run a small business, and I'm looking forward to today's session, especially just learning how to navigate career pilots. So yes, thank you. Who wants to go next? Ire Tomide. Yes, I hope I pronounced that right. Please do you mind introducing yourself?
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. I'm Ire Tomide, and I don't do the form. I just joined now, so I run an online platform for training. Just started to do, and that's the reason why I'm here, to get more insight and to equip the site for better productivity.
Fantastic. Lovely to meet you. Who wants to go next? We'll just take a few more introductions before we get started. Our facilitator is already in the room. Let's see. Oh, hi, Shay. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, this Shay. Yes, this Shay Babatunde. Okay, I manage HR Leverage Africa. We basically an outsourcing and payroll management company. So I'm here very excited to be here today, and more importantly, we're working on a new product, hence the reason why we're in the community. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's lovely to meet you again, Shay. So we've had Shay, we've had Reto Mite. My Oga, Mr. Larry, please don't introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Larry. I run an edtech startup in Lagos. We automate education processes for schools, businesses, and tertiary institutions. So I'm interested in hearing from my facilitator today. I don't translate, but I'm in. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, lovely to have you. Jacob Samuel just joined. Hi, Jacob. We're taking introductions for the time being. So for the next 2 minutes, we'll take introductions. And so do you mind introducing yourself, what you do, and what you're looking to get out of the session today? Hi, Jacob. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Okay. Please confirm that you can hear me. So I'm certain that the problem is not from me.
We can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Great. Okay, since Jacob isn't speaking, I'll just take Sunday and then I'll bring up the facilitator so we get started. Hi, Sunday. If you're speaking, you're muted. So what you're supposed to do is introduce yourself, what you do, or what you're looking to get out from today's session.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. There's a bit of a lag. It's difficult hearing you.
Clinical IT services that we have companies with service support person, application support person, and work with the developers, everybody. So that's what I do. Yeah, so the topic got me interested because I'm trying to see how I can actually upskill and move into the product manager is. And I saw that the speaker today has a profile from operations. Yeah, so currently I do a lot. I'm also training up to become a DevOps engineer. However, but I feel that there's a need for me to understand how products really work so I can support the business and move into high positions in an organization and also see how I can make good impact in that space. So that's why I'm actually interested in today's um, talk, and I hope to get better out of it. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. We have one more person in the room. Okay, it's already way past our start time. Just so that we keep this really short and succinct, I would read the facilitator's bio and then I'll bring him up. Okay, so please meet Fumnanya Okeleke-Kooper. Aside from being my friend, Fumnanya is a senior product manager with over 5 years of experience in the tech industry. He's passionate about product research, product obsession, product leadership, strategy, and team alignment. He currently leads a product team at Seamless HR, where he manages and drives growth and innovation for 3 enterprise SaaS platforms. Fumnaya's long-term aspiration is to become a renowned B2B SaaS product leader. In his spare time, Fumnaya enjoys speaking about products and technology. He's also a movie, music, and sports enthusiast, mostly football. Welcome, Fumnaya. The floor is yours.
Yeah, hi, Chika. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Great. Thank you for the introduction and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to take this time out on Saturday to have this conversation with everyone. And I'm hoping that this conversation, no matter how short, would be insightful and would also help you in making the decisions that you need to make regarding product management. And everything that Chika said is true, but I'll still share my screen because I sort of like prepared a little presentation, I guess. Uh, this is it's not PowerPoint for everyone to enjoy. This is Notion, which is sort of like my preferred work tool. So I was just thinking, well, should I create a PowerPoint or should I just create a Notion presentation? And I decided to stick with the Notion presentation. So in case anyone was expecting PowerPoint, I apologize for that. And yeah, just simple introductions. My name is Fumnanya. Like Chika rightly said, I am a senior product manager at Seamless HR. I've been working there for about 3 years. I have about 5 years in tech industry. I've worked specifically with auto tech and HR tech products. And I'm currently building and shipping talent management products for over 500 mid and large enterprises in East and West Africa. So we are gradually expanding across the continent. And outside of work, I enjoy watching, talking, discussing football. I'm a Liverpool fan, a very big Liverpool fan to be exact. So if you're a Liverpool fan, yeah, you'll never walk alone. Uh, Also, I enjoy cinema, watching movies, reading, writing, and whenever I get the chance, I also enjoy cooking. But sometimes it's always so difficult because of how my schedule is like. So I also host a product chat um, talk or discussion every month. So I invite product managers from other industries, so to say, just to have a chat on their work. Um, just to give you like a snippet, last month, or sorry, this month, I interviewed a product manager in the tech industry. A couple months back, I interviewed someone who had actually transitioned from product management to product operations. So varied topics. It's always very interesting having those people up to have that conversation. And I also write a newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter. I try to write at least 3 times in a month. Right. So a career pivot is not complete if there isn't a story, because there has to be a story behind it, behind the reason why I even pivoted in the first place. Why did I move from operations to product management? So I'll give you a bit of my story. This is a very vulnerable story, although I've talked about it so many times. Um, but still very vulnerable because I'm sharing it with you guys this morning. So in June 2016, I graduated from Bowen University with a degree in microbiology. And the plan essentially is originally I was supposed to study medicine. Uh, and then from medicine, it turned out that I was supposed to study pharmacy. And then from pharmacy, it turned out that I was supposed to study microbiology. So very interesting, to be exact. I still remember I did one of those tests to determine if you're a science student, you're an art student, or whether you're a commercial student. At the end of the day, it turned out that I could do both science and I could do both arts. So that is still very prevalent in my life today. So I studied microbiology from Bowen University. The plan after microbiology was that I would pursue a master's degree in environmental toxicology abroad. Well, that did not pan out. So I tried to pursue it in the University of Lagos. That did not pan out as well. So a lot of things were not panning out. So it was like I was taking some L's, but life is very interesting in the way those things do happen. So I served in November 2017, I went for service and I served as a quality control intern in a pharmaceutical company. And after that, my service for 1 year, I realized that I did not like lab work. I hated working in the lab. I hated shaving my beard and wearing nose mask all of the time, and then wearing latex gloves, using creating culture, microbiological culture for experiments, for tests. I just did not like it. It was a lot. I also think it was because of the work environment. It wasn't actually a really good work environment, both from an organizational perspective and also both from a colleague perspective. Like it was just really weird. So I decided that I was not going to do lab work, but I went on to apply for lab related jobs after my service year, which is quite funny because I said I was not going to do it, but then I started applying because Nigeria will do things to you. And I started applying for all these quality control officer interviews. They didn't pan out as well. I remember a really long time ago, that was 2017, I applied to work as a quality control officer at HubMart. For those of you who know HubMart, and that was the job, but it was such a very terrible interview. It was disastrous. That's the word I like to use. And not disastrous because I didn't know the things I was going to say, disastrous because during the interview, it turned into an argument session between I and the interviewer. That was something that I did not plan for, but it was really, really weird. And they never called me. So I moved forward. 2018, as you can see, I didn't work for 2018. I did some freelance gigs, sure, some writing here, some hosting there, just did a couple of things. I also tried to start a health and safety consulting company, which didn't succeed because I wasn't entirely ripe in terms of knowledge, in terms of market, in terms of what I was supposed to do. So the idea was for me to consult in the area of health and safety for small, medium enterprises. But what I did not realize was that small, medium enterprises don't have a lot of cash flow. So I was bringing something to them that they thought they did not really need. And at the end of the day, I only did like one or two consulting gigs. And that was the end, packed it up. So I decided to get a certification in customer service just to have like a job advantage. And after I got that certification, I applied for a couple of jobs and I got hired as a center operations officer at CAS 45, um, which I'm sure everybody has heard of. And you probably see them everywhere. And after that, I was working with CAS 45 for about 8 to 10 months, so to say. But in December 2019, I'm very particular about December 2019 because that was the morning I woke up and I realized that I needed to change something for my career. I needed to do something different, right? It's not as if I didn't like my job, but my job was, I just felt like there was more. I don't know what it was really. Um, Sometimes I like to attribute it to God just speaking to me and telling me that okay, it's time for the next step, and that was it really. It was time for the next step. So I resolved to be intentional and seize opportunities for like professional development. And it was also that same morning that I discovered Product Dive. So Product Dive is a product school based in Lagos, and I decided to start my product management journey with them. I called them up, asked a couple of questions about product management, um, and based on those answers, I decided that, well, product management was for me. Now, I should say that up to that morning in December 2019, I did not know anything called product management. Heck, I didn't even know that it existed as a career. I didn't even know there was something called a product manager, right? So it was when I found out and I was like, okay, this seems to suit the skills that I have, which of course I will talk about like later with transferable skills from working in operations and moving to product management. So in February 2020, I was laid off by CAS 45 in February for business reasons, which was kind of a funny story because in a very Nigerian company fashioned way, um, I was told the previous day that I needed to come to Victoria. I needed to come to Lekki, which was it was the HR consulting company that CAS 45 was using at that time. So I was told I was supposed to come to Lekki, but I was not told why I was coming to Lekki. So on my way to Lekki, I found out that all my devices were I was logged out of all my devices. I could not log into my work email. I could not do anything essentially. So when I got to Lekki, I saw everyone. And I still remember that because somebody said that, oh, yeah, it seems like they called all of us to fire us. And I was like, oh, no, now, why would they gather us here? Like there might be something. I was quite naive at that time. So we got there, we gathered, and then the HR consultant came in and said, okay, all right, guys, there's no easy way to say this, but you guys are getting fired or you're getting laid off. And, they gave us our severance letters and we signed a couple of things and we left. Yeah, so I didn't have a job, February 2020. And at that time, my plan was that, when I finished my product management course, which I did, I was doing it as I was working because CAS 45 required me to work from Mondays to Sundays. So if I have a class on Saturday, I have to work on a Sunday. So for the next 6 weeks, every Sunday, um, I was working. So I go to class on Saturday, have like a 6 hour intensive class on Saturday, try to rest up that same Saturday. Um, then on Sunday, the next day, I'm going to work. Right. That's how my life was for about 6 weeks, which was really interesting. And my plan was that, well, I'll probably work with CAS 45 in a product management aspect, but that didn't pan out and I was laid off. So I spent the next 5 months in lockdown. This is a time where everybody was at home. I did not have a job. I only had a severance package. Um, And since that time has passed, I believe I can see the severance package, which was ridiculous at that time. It was just 70,000 naira. That was my severance package then. So for 5 months, I was with 70,000 naira and I wasn't working, I wasn't doing anything. But I decided to prep myself for my first product management role. So I basically dug into knowledge. I was reading articles, I was reading books, I was listening to product podcasts. I even completed some online courses from product school. I was attending online seminars, webinars, conferences. I was there, you know. And what this actually helped me do was shape the kind of product manager I wanted to be. And that is still very prevalent in my work today. Shape the kind of product manager I wanted to be, the kind of thing I wanted to focus on, and I wanted to I wanted to do with my team. Like that was very, very, very important to me uh, at that time. So, June 2020, late June, I got a call from the head of product at Seamless HR about the junior product manager role. Wanted to have a conversation. And from that conversation, there was an interview, there was a test, which I passed. And yeah, I started my journey as a junior product manager. And then 3 years down the road, I became a senior product manager. So it has been a very interesting journey and quite a very interesting story on my own end. So now that the story has been told, you also need to understand why I went with product management. Um, and before I even talk about why I went to product management, I think it's also good to understand what product management is. So, product management basically is the intersection between the business, the technology, and the customers, right? So all three come together, they meet together in like a Venn diagram, and the business, the technology, the customers all coming together. So without the customers, you can't have a product, right? It's obvious. Imagine you build a product today, or not even building, let's even talk about consumable products like food. Maybe you open a restaurant, but you don't have people who are buying your food. You're making food every single day, but people are not buying your food. You know, it begs the question, what's going on? What's happening? Is that business actually succeeding or it's failing? And the point is in that it's failing. Or imagine you're making milk, for example, and you're trying to sell the milk, but nobody's buying the milk. So at the end of the day, you need a customer to buy the things that you're offering, which is the business. But for the business to be at the point where the customer can pay for it, the technology behind that business is also very important. Now, this is where the product manager comes in, because the product manager has an idea, has a strong idea of navigating the business, tech, and customer purview. So the product manager basically sits in the middle and makes sure that all of these dots are connected. And at the end of the day, the business is able to get what they want, which is profit. The customer is able to get what they want, which is a workable product, a product that is able to solve their needs or at least improve a particular process, right? That's essentially a very short summary of product management, right? So why did I choose to go to product management? Um, Even when I was working in operations, I always had the passion of for problem solving. I see a problem, I want to solve it, and this is also prevalent. I don't know whether it's because I'm the first born. Maybe it's because of that. They say it's a firstborn syndrome, when firstborns always want to solve every single problem, right? And I've also learned that sometimes you can't solve every single problem on your own. You have to solve it with other people. But that's besides the point. I've always had this passion for problem solving, and seeing that product management allowed me to identify and solve real problems using innovative solutions. That fascinated me a lot, that people would be using something that my idea went into, my idea with my team went into, and they would be giving me or telling me that, oh, we love what you're doing, or oh, we actually don't like what you're doing, can you do it this way? Or give me any kind of feedback that would be really helpful, and that would actually help improve the product on the long run. And I think that's something that really caught on to me, because if we don't have like really good, if you don't have a passion for problem solving, it's going to be very, very difficult to be a product manager. And that's just the truth. Like, you really have to have that passion to identify and solve real customer problems, to know that this is a real problem that is happening in the world today, or that's happening around you, and you want to use technology to derive innovative solutions that will solve these problems. So I was also drawn with the fact that I can sit in the middle, um, or drawn with the fact that I could play a strategic role by bridging the gap between the business objectives and the technological feasibility. So part of my work as a product manager is to also identify when it is the right time to pursue this opportunity, and when is not the right time. And now why that is important is because when you pursue an opportunity too quickly, you could end up drowning in the market. But when you pursue the opportunity at the right time, it's fantastic. People are enthusiastic about that and are ready to even jump on your product. When you pursue the problem too late, you're left behind, and it's going to be a bit difficult to catch up when your other competitors already are doing this. Now, if there's a business objective, the business objective cannot be completed if the technology is not feasible. So if you want to build something and we don't have the technology for it, at the end of the day, what's the essence of actually building it? There's no use, if I'm being honest. So we need to bridge that gap between the business objectives and the technology to make sure that technology is available and it is feasible, so that that gap can be bridged and the business objectives can be solved. And product managers play a strategic role in ensuring that that intersection works seamlessly. And I did enjoy that, and was one of the reasons why I wanted to go into product management. In fact, it was one of the reasons why I didn't want to continue my operations job anymore, because in my operations job, I wasn't really in between the business and the technology. I was more on the I was more on the front lines, right? So I wanted to go away from the front lines and be in the strategic parts um, of the product in itself. So impact and influence was also something that drove me to go into it. In my operations job, I led a team of about 4 to 5 individuals, and I worked across like various branches. I was working in Ikeja, I was at Mowe Bafo. I was working at Isheri Magodo. I was working at Magodo. I was working at various places. I even worked at Ikorodu, worked at Egbeda, and I was working with people. But one thing I could actually see from all of that experience was how the impact and influence that Cars 45 was presenting as a business could do on people that wanted to sell their cars, right? On the front line, you don't really have huge impact on that. You cannot really control how it is. And the reason is because you're not the one who is building the product. The only thing that you can do is to appease the customer, is to help the customer with the problem that they might have. But when it comes to the impact and the influence and the opportunity to shape products that impact users' lives and drive business growth, product managers have a huge opportunity to be able to do that, because it's very strategic and it is highly impactful. And when I was working in operations and I was leading, I was leading these people and working side by side with them, I knew that I had the opportunity to extend the skills that I've learned from those leadership experiences and apply it into my product manager role. And like I said earlier, it's one of the things that still shapes me as a product manager, knowing that I can put all of these applications and I can do the very best that I can for the product to ensure that the product is being enjoyed and is positively being impacted in the user's lives, and it's also helping the company to make money. So why is it highly rewarding? Really, I try to make this, put this into like bullet points, because my thoughts were all over the place. I wanted to say a lot, but I just needed to calm down. So the first one is impactful solutions, right? So the truth is that as product managers, we play a very pivotal role in shaping the development and launch of products that directly address customer needs. So when you see that these needs or these solutions in the customers or in the user's life is basically rewarding for them, it validates the efforts that you put into creating the product. And you see that you're actually making a difference, like you're making a difference in this users' lives, right? And that's one of the beautiful things. I always like to know that a customer is enjoying using the product, and also like to know if a customer is not enjoying the product, why is customer not enjoying it, and what can I do to help them enjoy it even more. The second is being in a collaborative environment. So because I said earlier that product managers, they sit in the intersection between business, technology, and the customer, it means that you're going to be working with a lot of people. You're going to be working with engineering, with design, with marketing, with sales, with cybersecurity, information security. You're going to be working with a lot of people. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about that, because when you work with a lot of people, the beautiful part is that you get several diverse perspectives and insights. And from those several diverse perspectives and insights, it can lead to a well-rounded and innovative product that inspires a sense of accomplishment, right? Because that's like a very, very important thing. And why it's important, because you don't want to just think singularly. You want everyone to kind of like be involved, asking questions, asking the right questions, getting feedback from people, soliciting feedback, um, and problems that people might be having, and getting all of that feedback to your product so that you could use it. Also, continuous learning. Now, I know that, we learn every single day, right? It's a process. We learn every single day. But I can show you that a product manager has to learn way more than maybe someone that is just specializing in one particular aspect. Why? Well, because of all the reasons that I spoke about. When you're working in a collaborative environment, you have to understand things about marketing, things about business, some things about engineering. You have to understand some technical perspectives of the product. You have to learn how to work with people, communicate with people, lead people. You have to learn all of these things, and it changes every single time. Whenever there's a new emerging technology, like we have artificial intelligence, today everybody is going crazy for artificial intelligence. um, the product manager has to know, how does this impact my product? What can I even do to get artificial intelligence in my product? So that means that product manager has to start reading about artificial intelligence. Now, an average person might not actually need to know a lot about artificial intelligence, or even bother to read up on artificial intelligence. And the reason is because that person that person might not really need artificial intelligence in their journey, right? But a product manager needs it, because when you have competitors, other competitors that start using artificial intelligence, you also want to be you also want to be at the forefront, also using that artificial intelligence for your product on the long run. So it's very essential that the product manager has to continuously learn and has to keep learning. Um, Sorry, please give me a moment. So sorry for the break in transmission. So like I was saying, continuous learning is very important. You need to adapt to an ever-changing landscape. As a product writer, it changes a lot, really. What is information today is different information tomorrow. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really, really love it, because it's so rewarding to know that it's not the same thing every single day. There's always a new thing, right? There's always something different. There's always something to look at, something to explore. And that's very beautiful to me. And the next part is customer centric focus. So it's highly rewarding because you are putting customers at the heart of every product decision. Now, when you do that, you're creating a direct connection between your work as a product manager and the customers who are using your product. And being able to see those customers delight by the product that caters to their need kind of like instills a sense of fulfillment and knowing that their efforts have positively impacted the user experience. And it's very, very important that you're able to build products that delight users. If you're building a product and it's not delighting your users, you need to find out why and what you can change about that. And that's why it's always really, really highly rewarding because, like I said, it changes. There's always something that you can do better. And finally, if you achieve business success and recognition, it's very, very rewarding as well because when you have successful products that meet the business objectives, you gain trust, you gain recognition from stakeholders and the leadership of the company. If you execute a very good product strategy that is in alignment with the business goals, and there is like huge customer satisfaction, you gain the trust of everyone. People know that, oh, this person can actually do this. This person has consistently done this. Like, when they call your name, they just know, is he not the one or is she not the one? She will do it. Like we trust her. And that's very, very important because I find out that in my work as a product manager, trust is very vital. Trust and accountability is extremely vital because when you have the trust of the people you work with and the trust of the leadership, it's very helpful for you to drive effective product outcomes or effective outcomes that would help the product on the long run. Right. And the last thing, which I did not write here, is that in terms of salary, it is actually rewarding. Very, very rewarding. The average product manager salary today, especially with someone that probably has like 0 to 1 experience, is almost running in 6 figures or even more, to be exact. And it's very, very interesting because more companies need product managers. So once a startup is created, 6 months or 10 months down the line, the startup would definitely realize that they need a product manager and still start looking for product managers. It's just a given, right? It's always very, very important. It's an important role. It's not a role that is going to go away anytime soon. In the next 10 years, it's still going to be prevalent. Maybe it will maybe change its name. Maybe it's going to now be general manager or something like that. But it is still going to be very, very prevalent on the long run. And as you work your way in your career, build up your skills, also gain some level of achievement, you are able to stake your claim with people who might want to reach out to you and say, okay, we need you, come. It's very easy for you to show your track record and tell them this is the reason why you should actually pay me because these are the results and this is what I can do. So it's actually very, very rewarding in the financial aspects. So what are some transferable skills and experiences that I got from operations to product management? Now, let me add a caveat here. Some people think that, well, because I'm not a product, or um, because I'm not a product manager yet, I don't have the skills to become a product manager, or I don't have basically I don't have the skills to become a product manager, so I can't become a product manager. Well, my answer to those people is, who told you that? Now, the reason why I can actually say that is because I felt that way as well when I started my career. After I had finished the 6 weeks product management course that I went for at Product Dive in 2020, I began to question whether I could actually do this in the first place. I began to ask myself like so many questions. Can I even write a user story? Can I even write a product documentation? How am I going to speak to customers? How should I do interviews? How will I be able to manage stakeholders? How can I do all of these things? Wow, it feels too much. So I had a conversation with one of the instructors at Product Dive, just telling her my consent. And she asked me a question and she said, "What do you do?" I said, I mean, yeah, this is what I do. I work in CAS 45 as an operations officer. It's just like, well, what are some of the skills that you use in your day to day? I mentioned some of those skills. And she said, yeah, there's no difference between those skills that you have an operations officer and the skills that you would be using as a product manager. In fact, it is literally the same thing. The only thing that has changed is that your job title is now product manager. And it resonated with me a lot because it now gave me the confidence to know that I do have transferable skills and experiences that I can put into practice in my role as a product manager. So, what are some of those transferable skills? The first one is communication and relationship building. And this is something that I always tell both current and aspiring product managers, that your communication and your relationship building has to be really good. So I had to sharpen on my communication and relationship building skills so that I could effectively work with cross-functional teams, work with stakeholders, work with customers on the aligned goals, and also drive like successful outcomes. And those communication and relationship building skills I still sharpen today have helped me a lot in my career. Um, and that's one transferable skill because, when I was an operations officer, I had to communicate to a customer in very clear terms. And communication is not just, sometimes I didn't even speak English. Sometimes I had to switch to Pidgin. Sometimes I had to speak Yoruba. Sometimes I had to speak Igbo. Sometimes I had to, find a common ground, build a relationship with these people. And even after I left CAS 45, just to give you an example of how that relationship building skill helped me. Even after I left CAS 45, people were still calling me. They were like, hello, Fumnanya, I want to sell my car. Hello, Fumnanya, I want to do this to my car. Hello, Fumnanya, do you know if I can? And every time I had to tell them, oh, I don't work at CAS 45 anymore, that you should reach out to so and so person. And even 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, heck, even a year down the line, some of these people were still calling me, send me a text message like, oh, I want to sell my Benz. And I'll be like, oh, I don't work here anymore. Reach out to this person, be like, oh, okay, thank you. And it's very, very interesting. And sometimes when I think about it, I laugh about it. But when you have provided like really good relationship foundation with people, it helps you become a more effective product manager. And that's just the truth. In my operations role, I needed to have empathy with the customer. So there were some times where a customer will come with their car and they would have like a very high price for how they want to sell their car. So for example, for people who know cars, someone could come with their Nissan Altima 1999 and decide that they want to sell it for 1 million naira. I know it seems very weird and it sounds outrageous and ridiculous, but you can't tell that customer that, right? by the time you check the car, you weigh the value, you check the car, make sure that everything is fine and whatnot. By the time you check all of that, you see that that car, it does not even cost up to 500K. Well, what do you actually do? Do you just go to the customer and say, well, customer, sorry, this your car is so bad, like 500K. I had to learn how to understand the customer needs and their pain points, right? Sometimes from those conversations that I'll have by being empathetic with the customer, I'll realize that they want to sell the car because they want to pay something. They want to sell the car because they want to make sure their kids go to school. Maybe there was a business deal that went wrong and they want to sell their car so that they can pay off the debt. Like, being able to understand their story is very, very, very helpful. And being able to empathize with their story is something that I had to bring into my product management journey. And and how I'm able to do that is like when a customer comes and says, oh, I need this particular feature, I first of all understand why they need it from an organizational perspective. Because Seamless HR is a B2B business. That means we serve businesses, both mid and large enterprises. So I need to understand what this will help them solve from a business level. Why is this even a problem for them in the first place? And why do they need the product to solve this problem for them? And it's always very, very interesting because I always get various of answers, and I'm also able to understand, let them know that they feel heard, and we'll be looking into their problems. And if we can't even look into their problems, we explain that, oh, we might not be able to take this on at this time because of this and this and this. However, we are still here for them no matter what they need. And it's always very, very important because customers relate a lot more when you're empathetic with them. In fact, every human being in the world relates more when the person that they're relating with shows a level of empathy for them. Analytical and data-driven approach. So my experience in sales and customer success basically had to teach me the essence of analyzing data, why data is very important. So I would say that I'm not data-driven. I would like to say that I'm more data informed. And what that means is that I don't solely rely on data for any decision that I make. However, I get data, and from that data and from other feedback and resources, I'm able to use that to make an informed decision on the product. So my experience from analyzing data, deriving insights from those data, and also making informed decisions has really helped me as a product manager as well. And then we have the cross-functional collaboration, which I've talked about a lot. You need to be able to have strong communication and collaboration skills, which is very crucial in product management. So in terms of knowledge acquisition and growth, what are some of the things that you can do to acquire knowledge more? So seek proper education, right? So you might not want to spend like a ridiculous amount of money on product management, but there are so many resources out there. Like, there are online courses that are even free. There are places that you can pay,
Okay.
attend. Um, there are places that you can pay to get a certification. So when I started my journey, I was more certification specific. And this is me. Some people have never done a product management certification in their life, and they are doing great work, right? And that's fine. That's not an issue. I went the certificate route. I went the certificate route because I wanted to fully understand the foundations of product management in a classroom setting so that I can be taught by people face to face, get feedback face to face, ask questions face to face. And it was very enriching and very wonderful. Unfortunately, Product Dive doesn't do physical classes anymore. It's now remote. But that physical setting really, really helped me in bridging my knowledge gap. Like, I learned so much. I still have some of my books today that I even go back to just to like read up on. So seeking proper education is very important. Don't just say that, well, I'm just going to jump into the product management role. fine, it's good that you want to jump into it, but do you understand what you're jumping into? Do you understand the foundations of product management? If you don't, then I suggest that you take that first step to understanding what product management entails and if product management is even something that you want to do, right? It's a very highly rewarded role, but at the same time, it's very important to understand what it will entail because it will take a lot of work. Everything takes work, right? Every work is a lot at the end of the day. But it's also important to recognize what it entails so that you don't go into it and you're left confused and surprised, like, oh my God, I never knew that it was like this, right? So very, very important and very key. And I also sought like a guidance from experienced product managers leveraging their expertise and insights to also like accelerate my learning. So sometimes learning from mentors doesn't mean that I booked a 30 minutes or a one-on-one conversation. Sometimes it was just reading an article they wrote. Sometimes it was just watching a video that they were on. Sometimes it was, just reading a LinkedIn post and learning from that LinkedIn post. So I have various mentors. I have mentors that do not even know that they are mentors to me, um, and I just enjoy that opportunity, just having all those conversations and getting guidance from people and accelerating my learning. So I've talked about continuous learning. You cannot stop learning as a product manager. It's not possible. It's a travesty, if I'm being honest, to stop learning. And I think it's a travesty in life to even stop learning, right? So I basically immersed myself in industry articles, read posts. Just I was consuming everything, and because I consume content a lot, it was very easy for me. It was too straightforward, really. So I was just consuming every single thing that I could get my hands on. And the most important thing is that I was learning what I was consuming, and I knew, at least from a theoretical perspective, how I needed to apply all of this. So I also attended conferences, joined some relevant communities. So we have a lot of product management communities. We have people in products. Product Dive also has their own community as well. So you can check them out. You can check them out on Twitter, mostly on Twitter, and you would be able to join the Slack groups so that you can stay updated with any information. So everything has a challenge. Nothing comes without a challenge. Even in the Christian life or in the Christian walk, there are always challenges. But from those challenges, there are also lessons learned. I needed to shift my mind first off from I needed to shift my mind from just execution alone but to strategy. So I needed to combine strategy and execution together. We say we have a strategy. Are we executing it? We need to execute it. I also needed to shift my mind from just tactics to vision. What was the vision that I had for product management? What was the vision that I had for myself? What was the career vision? What was the vision I even had for the product itself? So everything was not all about execution and tactics, but strategy and vision was also very, very important as well. So I needed to expand my skill set as well, right? Because I had some skill sets, but I needed to expand it. It was a challenge for me. I had to learn about things that I've never learned about before in my life. I had to learn about market research, what market is. I had to learn what a business is. Like I had to start from the very beginning. And these are the things that you don't learn in universities because when you're in a university, the only thing that you're focused on is what your course is. And unless you now want to seek out extra knowledge, I had to learn about user experience design. I had to learn about how to do product roadmap. These are just some examples. I had to learn how to work with stakeholders, communicate with sales, learn the perspective of various departments, the organization. So much learning, right? But without learning, that learning wouldn't have been possible if I was not able to adapt and persevere. And I know it sounds like aspire to perspire, what I'm about to say right now, but you have to persevere and you have to learn how to develop resilience, especially when things are not going very well for the products, or when things are not even going well for the opportunities that you're looking for as an aspiring product manager. You have to develop resilience, like you have to persevere. I know people that, probably started and they were looking for internships, um, but they dropped it. They stopped doing product management, right? It wasn't because like the role wasn't there, or it wasn't because the opportunity wasn't there. It was just because that they couldn't continue the challenges that arose when in their product journey. So there has to be a very high level of resilience that you have to develop. You have to be able to adapt, you have to be able to learn, and you have to be able to grow. So what's my advice for everyone on the call here this morning that's taking out the time to come and have this conversation with me? The most important thing I would say is that build a strong foundation. This was something that I did when I was preparing for my first product role. The truth of the matter is that I did not know when the product role was going to come. Heck, it probably would take a year. It has probably taken 2 years, probably taken 3 years. I didn't know really. But one thing I knew was that I needed to prepare so that I needed to prepare so that when the opportunity came, I would be ready. Right. And that's the most important thing. You need to prepare so that when the opportunity comes, the opportunity meets you there prepared and you're ready to take it. So that cannot be built if you're not ready to understand the foundations of product management. You're not ready to seek knowledge, including understanding the market, understanding competition, understanding the user's needs. You need to build strong foundations around all of that. If you need to go beyond learning just foundation of product management alone, you need to read about leadership, learn about leading people, working with people, learn about communicating with people, learn about building relationships, learn about user experience, learn about some sets of technology. You need to learn all of these things. And you also need to network. Like when you know people, it's much easier in product management. Like when you're able to network with other industry professionals and you're able to seek guidance from people, from mentors as well. If you can find a mentor, that would also be very great. That will help you provide like valuable insights and opportunities. And also, you need to embrace a growth mindset. Because you fall down today doesn't mean you cannot get up tomorrow. So embrace challenges as learning opportunities. You can't be a product manager if you're not curious. So you have to be very curious. You have to be questioning things all of the time. You cannot just leave things or let things just, be set in stone. And it's very, very, very important because curiosity, well, it is a superpower for anyone who wants to be a product manager. And you have to continuously expand your skill sets in this dynamic field. Remember, I spoke about artificial intelligence. Everybody's going crazy now about artificial intelligence. Companies are saying, oh, how can we use artificial intelligence in our products? Imagine there's a product manager that ignores artificial intelligence and this thing is going to die tomorrow. Like nobody will really care about it. Like let's just be focusing on the ones that we're doing. That's sort of like a closed mindset. Instead, the product manager should be open to learning. Okay, what's this artificial intelligence that they speak of? Why are people talking about it? What can you do for the product? What can you do for my knowledge? Maybe I now decide that I want to specialize as a product manager in artificial intelligence. And this is something that I should actually also say. So it's also very helpful, like to be a generalist. That means you can touch on every single thing. But it's also great if there's something that you want to specialize on. So let's say, for example, you like the financial industry, you like financial technology. You can decide that you want to specialize in fintech. That is your area, right? You want to specialize in fintech, and that's what you want to do, specialization in fintech, and that is good. As a product manager, it's important to actually know, okay, this is where I want to like pitch my tent. If you now want to be a generalist, that's absolutely no problem. But to be a generalist, you have to know a lot of things about being a generalist. Like it's very, 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 very important, right? So specialization is also key, because when you're able to choose, like, okay, I want to specialize in edutech, I want to specialize in HR tech, I want to specialize in health tech, I want to specialize in artificial intelligence, I want to specialize in blockchain technology. It now helps you to like really focus, say, okay, specializing in blockchain, every single thing I need to learn about blockchain, I'm going to learn about it today. I'm specializing in Web3. So there's nothing wrong with specializations, right? Just make sure that you're putting in your best to expand your skill set. Now, in terms of tips for breaking into product management, one tip that I would give is that when you're applying for product roles, it's very crucial to distinguish yourself by going the extra mile. So let me give you an example. You're applying for a product manager role today, or use yourself. Just imagine yourself sitting in the office. You're an HR recruiter. You're recruiting people for a product management role, maybe for an internship role. Great, right? So these people come in. You're seeing everyone's CV. You're seeing everyone drop You're seeing everyone drop their CV. You're seeing on the CV. You're looking through it. You're seeing everybody's cover letter and whatnot. Now, when you're looking through all of that, you see that out of these 10 people that dropped their CV, out of 10 people that dropped their CV, 2 people went the extra mile to even talk about your product, to even say that, oh, I have checked out your product, and these are some things that I've been able to point out that you can improve on your product, right? Based on this user survey, or based on the feedback that I've gotten from customers about your product, I've seen that you guys should look at your product in this particular way. Or you even you use their product and say, okay, I've used your product and I think that this particular user flow can be better. How? You show them how it can be better. Or you even perform a competitor analysis for the company's product that you're interested in working with, right? So that person now does that. Those 2 people did that out of the 10 people. So if I ask anybody the question today, who are you going to call back out of those 10 people? Anybody can answer. Who will you call back?
I'll call back those 2 people.
Exactly. You call back those 2 people. And the reason why you call back those 2 people is because those 2 people did work that, in layman terms, nobody sent them to do, right? Nobody sent me work, but they did the work. They basically showed you, even if they're not experienced, and maybe you're looking for more experienced hands, you still have them in mind. Or in cases, you might even create a junior role for them that probably did not even exist in the first place. When I'm done, you can ask your questions.
Okay. It's for what you're actually saying, right? Like how many companies will you do that for?
As many as you can do that for. And that's a simple answer. As many as you can do that for.
Jasmine, hi Jasmine. Do you mind? Let's just take note of the question so that there's no break in the flow. Then at the end of his teaching, we can take questions. Just note it down. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chika. So at the end of the day, you want to at the end of the day, you want to apply as many roles as possible, right? And you want to do that for those roles. Why? Because it's a job space that requires you to go the extra mile. In my work as a product manager, I've done some things that nobody told me to do, done some experimentation on the product. Nobody sent me a message. I did it anyway. In fact, I was having a call yesterday with an executive, and from that conversation with the executive, the person saw like a new feature that we had worked on, and the person asked me a very interesting question. Said, why did you guys choose to do this? And I was like, huh, that's interesting. Then I went on to explain why we thought about doing this. And then she asked, like, oh, did anybody ask for this? I was like, no, nobody asked for it. Nobody asked me for anything at the end of the day. I looked into it, I did my research. I looked at, okay, it will be good. Let's experiment with this as a first step. Let's even see what the customers say, for this little experimentation. If the customers don't like it, that's absolutely fine. Why did the customer not like it? They give their reasons. We learn from it, we improve. Did the customers like it? Absolutely, they love it. In fact, they are even giving so much feedback like, you can improve this, you can change this, you can change that. And that's fantastic for us. In fact, that's so great for me, right? So it's all about going the extra mile, doing permissionless work, experimenting, improving, engaging, and interacting with your customers so that you can get all the feedback that you can get, and then you can improve as you continue your journey. So in conclusion, really, my journey in product management, from operation to product management, in one word, I'll say has been transformative, because I have not only been able to put in my passion for problem solving, I've also been able to successfully navigate the business, technology, and customer space together, and I've been able to even make a positive impact. So my advice to everyone here is that you need to embrace the journey. It's not the easiest thing, but the most important thing is that you're learning and you're growing and you're doing your best to seize on every opportunity. And if you have transferable skills today that you think that, oh, well, I might not really use them or it might not be applicable, I would advise that you check again, because you would see that you have a lot more skills than you thought you did that can even help you to become a fantastic product manager and a great product manager on the long run. So I hope my story and I hope all of this talk has also been able to provide some level of inspiration. I'm excited for everyone here who wants to also take this part. Excited to see you guys succeed in the future as product managers in different spaces. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, if you would like to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. You can also follow me on Twitter. I also write a newsletter called Product Gist. You can also send me an email in case you want to have a conversation with me. Absolutely no problem. So I would take questions now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Fumnanya, for that. So now that we have questions, I think that Jasmine, you can go first. I have a question of my own, but we'll take Jasmine first. Also, if you have questions, kindly indicate by raising your hand, and then we can take it orderly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naya. And it was very interesting listening to everything you said. I have a couple of questions. Please, can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes.
clear. Yes.
Okay. So last year, I decided to transition into product management. I was a customer care officer, and I did all school. But you know what everyone says from product management, the tech course, the hot course. I mean, I have basically had no job since last year up until now. And I decided to go ahead and launch my own products. So it would be like an example of something I have done. And I did that. It's been like 5 months later. Still no job, still no internship or anything like that. So I don't know. What would you advise in that case? Number two question is, how did you land your first job? Thank you.
Thank you. From there, do you want to take that?
Yes. I was actually speaking. I didn't know I was muted, but that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that question, Jasmine. So the first thing for your question, now I'm going to be very honest, like down to earth. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat anything. It's not easy. It's not easy. Like that's the first part. It's not easy to actually even get your first product role. And Like I said, I had friends that were looking for their first product role for more than a year and they did not get it. Now, is this to say that product management roles are not available? No. Is it also to say that maybe these people don't know how to interview? No. Maybe there's some truth there, but essentially, no. Oh, it's a combination of so many factors, right? Um, it's a combination of so many factors. And sometimes it's about what does the company want at that particular time. In fact, I can categorically tell you that a lot of organizations don't know who they want in a product manager. That's where the problem even starts in the first place. They don't know who they want. They just pack a lot of things and they just send it. I had an interview about 2 years ago when I was still in student literature, 1 year in my journey. And after the interview, I asked the question, okay, what am I supposed to do as a product manager? Because they didn't even give me like a list of things or what my job or my day-to-day would be like. And then the HR now says, oh, I thought you already discussed that with the head of product. I'm like, the head of product didn't give me anything. So the HR basically goes, copy and pastes something from Google, sends it to me as an email. And I knew that it was from Google because I've seen all of these things so many times before. And I had to reject that role because I knew that, yeah, that was not going to work for me. So, Jasmine, it's great that you have taken, and I want to first of all commend you for taking the opportunity to even build a product of your own for the past 5 months. It takes incredible courage to actually do that. And I want to say that great job doing that. I also want to say that there are different parts in entering product management. So many different parts, right? So most people think that it has to be the product management role that I'm going to go into. Well, I have news for you. It doesn't have to be product management at the very beginning. It could be sales, it could be marketing, it could be customer success. But you see, what you're doing is that once you enter into that role, maybe for that tech startup, for example, or that multinational company that uses technology to build products, once you enter into that role, you now have the opportunity to work with product managers and learn from them. You have the opportunity to learn from their day to day. You have the opportunity to network with them. Oh, how's your day to day like? I want to try. I've been thinking about product management. Talk me through some things. Can I work with you? Can we have like 30-minute sessions? Can we have like 20 minutes or even 15 minutes weekly talks? Just talking, just chatting about product management. It goes a long way because by the time you start doing that, when a product role opens up, like, oh yeah, we're looking for a junior product manager, most times you will hear it because, I mean, it will first start internally. Is there anybody that can take up this? And then you put your foot forward. I had someone who was working in, Paystack, and he basically reached out to me and was like, oh yeah, like, all of these things are happening and he wants to do product management. And I was like, my guy, you're in Paystack, like you're there. There are product managers, like, and he was like, oh, there's a product manager role that's opening up internally. And I was like, yeah, take it. What are you waiting for? Like, this is someone that is an expert in growth, an expert in marketing. So he has a good opportunity once that is being offered. He has a great opportunity and he's just able to apply for it and keep himself open, like, yeah, I want to take this, because they were looking internally first. They didn't want to look externally at first, right? And that's perfectly okay. And he applied, right? He applied, and I don't know what the story is. Like, he has not given me like feedback whether he got it or not. But essentially, the point of this is that don't just stop at, oh yeah, I'm looking for product management roles, only product management roles. How about take a marketing intern role? How about take a digital consultancy role? How about take a sales intern role? How about start with, I don't know, maybe even a product design role? Maybe you want to learn product design. I know people that have moved from product design to product management. I know people that have moved from software development to product management. So it's not as if that it's not panning out or it's not working, so to say. It's just that you need to understand that there are multiple entry points. is not one straight road. It's never one straight road. There are multiple entry points into that, right? It's just like how you're going to a destination, and there are 2 points that you can get to that destination. Your Google Maps will probably tell you to follow one, but it doesn't mean that you cannot follow the other road. You can, because the other road will still get you to your destination at the end of the day. So it's very, very important to first of all understand that there are multiple entry points. Don't just stop at applying a product intern roles. The other thing I would say is that when you are submitting your CV, submit your CV, like let there be a lot of accomplishments there and a lot of numbers. The reason why you need to show a lot of numbers or metrics, and this is something that I learned when I was still applying, when I was actually applying for, when I was sending my CV rather to Seamless HR to look through. And I was, the owner of Product Dive. I'm sure everybody knows her. Her name is Toby. We had a conversation before I had that interview, and she looked at my CV. She looked at my CV and she said, "Okay, now your CV is not bad, but show the numbers." And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean show the numbers?" Show the numbers. What did you achieve here? What did you achieve there? What did you do here? What did you do there? So I went back, put numbers, I did this and did this, because I had some data, right? I did this and I did that, and I was able to achieve this. And I sent it out to Seamless HR. And we had the interview and we had the conversation. I got the job, right? And sometimes it's very, very important to know that when you put in those numbers, what it makes you sound like, it makes you sound like a go-getter. It makes you sound like I can achieve results. I can achieve results, because at the end of the day, that's what businesses want. They want favorable outcomes that will help the company make more money. So if you're able to show that you've been able to get all of these numbers, and it's not a small feat in any job that you have, you show that, okay, I did this, and I achieved 95%, or I got 95%, or I increased this revenue by 20%. Add it there, put it in your CV, let people know that you can do it. So there are no multiple entry points. You can apply for other roles as well in technology, especially if you want to break into the tech industry. Don't just go, "Oh, it's only product management hill I'm going to die on." That will not work, right? Like I started in operations, which was a combination of sales and customer success. Was combination of sales and customer success. And I mean, I was in a tech company, right? And it was that exposure that allowed me to say, okay, I want to do product management. And I did product management. I'm still in another tech company. So don't just stop at, if I don't get this product role, I'm die. That's the end of my life, or that's the end of my journey. No, take the road that a lot of people might not take, which is other paths into technology. And you know the funny thing, of course, not to burst any bubble, but the funny thing is that you could try all of those roles and you see that, wow, I love this role. It is fantastic. Is what I wanted actually. I did really want product management. And that happens sometimes, and that's perfectly fine, right? So yeah, that's what I would say to first question. And also I would say that make sure that your CV is able to show a lot of numbers, the things that you achieved. Now, to your second question, how did I achieve my first job? Now, my first product job. It's a very, very interesting story. Like I said, I was 5 months into lockdown. I basically was not working, and I was applying for other roles. I was not getting it, right? I was not getting it. Interviews were not going pretty well. So one morning, I just got a call that, and also this was like really helpful. Maybe I should actually start with the fact that because I was in Product Dive, I was able to like leverage like the community help. Because Seamless HR said they were looking for product managers, and they looked to Product Dive, and then I sent my CV immediately. Right. And then Seamless HR said, and that's when the head of product now called me and said he wants to have a conversation and he wants to have an interview. So during the interview, I did not claim to know every single thing about product management. In fact, the questions that I was being asked were even things about my job and things that I was able to achieve in my job, which was great for me because I was able to show that I could achieve results and I knew how to achieve results, right? And after that, I was given an assessment, and the assessment, was for me to write like a product documentation. I could have just written the product documentation, like, just write a couple of things, but I even went the extra mile to write personas, to look for technical architecture. Mind you, at that time, I knew nothing about technical architecture. Like, it was absolutely none of my business. I did not know anything, but I reached out to a friend. I was like, "Oh, I'm writing this," and that document that they sent to me helped me to, write that PRD in a way that a seasoned product manager would write it. And by the time I finished writing it, I even went on YouTube to research these things, like watching videos of this assignment that they gave me, watching other competitors. And by the time I was done, I wrote PRD. I took pen and paper. I was even sketching like user journeys, sketching web pages with pen and paper. That is why pen and paper is still one of my favorite things. Like every single thing I can get done with pen and paper, just sketching all of those things. And I took pictures of them, uploaded it, put it on the document, and I submitted it. And they reached out to me a couple of days later that, well, it was satisfactory, like, but they want to have like a final conversation. And they had the final conversation. The first question that um, the head of product asked me was like, how did I gather all of this information? I was honest and I said that, well, research, because it was the truth. It was research, and research is one of like my superpowers. I like to go deep into research, and it was research. So by the time we had that conversation, it was a matter of, okay, right, you made the interview and you're ready for that. But all of this would not have been possible, which I will say again, would not have been possible if I did not build the strong foundation that prepared me for the role that I landed. It would not have been possible. And Seamless HR is still my only product job till today. Um, I've just done one because I'm also a big believer in longevity, like spending time somewhere and growing and nurturing in a place that allows you to actually grow and nurture, and you can also improve. It's very, very, very vital. So yeah, that's how I was able to get my first and my only PM job till date. And yeah, that was it. I hope that answers I hope I've been able to answer your questions, Jasmine.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Fumnanya, for that. I think my own question is to flip it around to say, okay, because I'm certain that we have a couple of, and so it's a case of what are the features that recruiters should look out for, or even tech entrepreneurs, because again, this community is for tech entrepreneurs. So what features should tech entrepreneurs look out for when they're looking to recruit a product manager?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. Puts me on the hot seat. Very interesting question. So what are what should you look out for when you're hiring a product manager? Um, the first thing that you should actually look out for, like the first and the most important thing, it's not even, and I'm going to go against industry standard here because a lot of industries believe that, or a lot of companies believe that once you write a good product documentation as your assessment, you're getting the job because your assessment was good. And that in itself is a problem because it insinuates that, anybody can write a good PRD. In fact, somebody could use ChatGPT today to write a great PRD. How will you know? You don't. I mean, you could try to know, but you won't essentially know, right? But how should you know that someone actually this is someone that you should go for? You need to ask them questions that are specific to your company's day to day. Questions that are specific to your company's day to day, like If you operate in let's say, for example, you operate in a fintech organization, ask them some questions about day to day, like, pose a question for them and say that, okay, this situation happens here. How do you think you'll be able to do that? Now, from their response, what you're really looking out for is their ability to to think around problems, their product sense, if you will, or their product thought, the ability to think around the problem and to see how the problem can build up and create like a better solution for the customer and for the organization as well. Don't just ask questions like, what is agile methodology? Just ask questions like, what is Scrum? Yeah, anybody could actually know that. Anybody could know what Scrum is. Ask questions about day to day. Ask questions about, oh, you're working with your developer today, yeah, your developer does this, or maybe there's a launch that went wrong. How are you going to mitigate this launch? What are you going to do to mitigate the risk so that we might launch effectively? Or are you going to say that we should not even launch at all? And what will you do in that instance? It's very important because you get the idea of how that person would perform on the job almost immediately. Now, I'm not saying that you should not ask product management questions or skills and all that. Fine, you can ask all of those questions, but ask questions that will lead into thoroughly understanding this person's mindset as a product manager, because it's very, very, very important, so that you now know the skills that they have, the skills that they do not have, or the skills that they have but is not nurtured properly, and you know that if they come into the organization, it will be nurtured properly. You also want to look out for their level of decision making and their level of judgment. So, what is judgment essentially? And it's very, very simple. It's the ability to make good decisions. And that's just it. The ability to make good decisions. And in the product management aspect, is the ability to make good decisions or favorable decisions that could be helpful for your customers and helpful for the business. Because in the product world, there's a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity. Like, you cannot run away from it. It's always on. There's a lot of uncertainty. So you need to ask them questions that would sort of like bring out the level of judgment that you're looking for, especially when it comes to decision making. You want to know that this person that you're hiring, you know, they won't be coming to you every 5 seconds just because there's a problem. They won't be coming to you like, oh, there's fire on the mountain. What should I do? They should be able to think around the problem and say, okay, with this particular thing, this is what I can recommend and this is what I can do. You also want to look out for their soft skills. Um, how well do they communicate? How well are they focused on solving a particular problem? How well are they focused on strategy, on vision, on executing as well? I still remember one of the conversations I had. I mean, it was my interview with the CTO of my company, and he asked me a very interesting question. I never expected that he would ask me that question. The question he asked me was around costs, managing costs as a product manager, and what will I do in certain situations as a product manager when it comes to, like, maybe cost is getting really high and the product is not doing well. What will I do? And it was so interesting because, to be honest, I did not prepare for that question, but it was asked, and fortunately, I was able to answer it properly, right? And even in some places where I did not, give like thorough answers, we still had a conversation about what, I was thinking around on, and it kind of made sense, right? So all those questions are very important. You need to find those soft skill qualities in that product manager. When I was doing an internship, I was working with Senior Secretary when we were looking for interns. I sort of built a product internship program, and we're arguing about, oh, send out PRDs to them so that the interns will write, send out PRD exercises so that they will write about the PR, they will write the product documentation, write the user story, and I was like, no, like, I don't want us to send out product documentation. Like, yeah, no. What I did was I sent out detailed list of questions that for each of those questions, it tackled a specific skill that I was looking out for based on their responses. It tackled a specific skill that I was looking out for. And in each of those responses, I was able to see, okay, well, maybe this person can improve here. We can nurture this talent here. Or, wow, this person actually does not have this at all. And they probably need to improve on this, right? And it helped us with the decision that we needed to make. Okay, we needed to take some interns or maybe some interns. We just needed to keep them on our short list, like in case any role opens up in the future, we can reach out to them. Or some, we were not even considering hiring at all for an internship role. So focus on the soft skills. Ask all your other product management questions like, oh, how you handle Scrum, even asking questions like, what's your favorite product and how you improve it is a very good question because it entertains the idea of thinking. You need to be able to make them to actually think because most times our role as product managers involves a lot of thought, a lot of mental usage. And if we're not able to exercise that mental strength that we have, that mental muscle rather, it'll be very, very difficult for the person to really thrive in that role. So look for those soft skills that they have, analyze those soft skills properly based on the interview. Don't just send them a product documentation to write and then you send it back and then if it's good, you say, well, I found our product manager. Don't just stop at that, right? That's just one aspect of product. That's one tiny aspect of product. It's important, but it's a tiny aspect if we're being honest. So yeah, that's my advice. Hello, Chika, can't hear you clearly.
Oh gosh. How about now? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. I said thank you so much. I'm certain that the entrepreneurs on this call have found that helpful. Iretomi, do you want to go ahead and ask your question, please?
Yes. Thank you for so much information you have passed to this conversation. I want to ask whether there could be a session which we can sample a particular business. So you just look at it from PM point of view. From what I gathered from your conversation this morning, PM is like the interface between the need of the customer and the products that the organization is already launching or they are doing. That's their primary business. So I don't know. Let me first ask: is there a place that I can give you a sample that okay, you can just look at it from the features? Okay, what are the features that this particular business should look more into? Then I don't know.
Okay. Are you asking like a session like this where we analyze a product? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. I think Chika would touch on that later. I don't want to give any conclusive answers or any answers at all, but I believe that techpreneurs would look into that and maybe we can have a conversation down the line.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think that I don't think we have any more questions right now. Yeah. Thank you so much, Fumnanya, for taking out your time to impact us and just be detailed with your response. I, as a person, have taken a lot from all that you've shared and the vulnerability also that you brought to us. Thank you so much for that. On behalf of the tech entrepreneurs and tech talents, we say thank you. Thank you. Guys, please unmute your mic and appreciate Fumnanya for this session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really learned a lot from this session. Thank you, Fumnanya, for this work on product management. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for also taking your time to attend. Thank you, everyone.
All right. And on this note, I think we'll call it a day. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. For tech entrepreneurs, don't forget your session tomorrow. All right, guys. Take care. Thank you so much from there once again. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.